This podcast is being recorded on the traditional land of the Blackfoot Confederacy. This consists of the Kainai, Piikani, Siksika, and the Blackfeet in the U.S. We acknowledge the Stoney Nakoda, which consists of the Bearspaw, Morley, and Chiniki. We acknowledge the Tsuut'ina, who are Dene, and the Métis, Inuit, status and non-status from all of Turtle Island, and those who are visiting. We are all treaty people.
Welcome to the Dave Leary Show.
Welcome to the Voices in Recovery podcast, brought to you by Freedom's Path Recovery Society in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. Thank you for tuning in. Please remember that these opinions that are shared are those of the individuals and not of any agency, organization, or other entity, unless otherwise specified. Also, if you're a minor, please check with your parent and or guardian, as you need to have permission to listen to these podcasts. We will potentially talk about violent subject matter, sexual content, and difficulties human beings face on their day-to-day lives in recovery.
Welcome, Amber, and thank you for coming even though you are very nervous. You're allowed to be nervous. Thanks for coming.
Thank you so much for having me on here today.
Oh, it's our pleasure. Why don't you take it away? Tell us about yourself.
Okay, so my name is Amber. I have a 2-year-old little boy. I'm 28 years old, and now I'm on 7 months clean. Well, going on 7 months. It would have been 3 years in February.
Oh, okay.
But I did have a small relapse happen, and that ultimately was my changing point at that time. But if I rewind, I guess I'll just start at the very beginning.
Sure, yeah.
That would make sense.
You start wherever you like.
So basically what got me to where I am today, it all stemmed to when I was a kid. I had really bad skin, and so I'd get bullied. I'm a very sensitive person. So people would be like, oh, what's on your face? And I had baby acne around my mouth. They gave me hydrocortisone, and it made my skin darker around my mouth. And as a little girl, you know, you're oh, don't look at me, right? I had styes on my eyes, and people would ask me what is that, out of curiosity, but I would take it completely different. And so it all started.
Yeah, but it's hard being different as a kid.
Yeah, exactly, 100%.
It's just hard being different.
Right? And there's a lot of just mean kids out there that, right? Bullies are so bad. And so I'd get bullied over small things like that. And then in elementary, I had this one best friend. Me and her lived 10 houses apart. And then I don't know what happened, but somehow she got mad at me, and then a girl 2 grades above me started bullying me so bad. This is grade 7. Yes, this is grade 7, and she started bullying me so bad that I cried. I was like, Mom, I'm not going back to this school. And I've always felt a little bit of an oddball, right? I don't know why. I just didn't feel like I ever fit in, and I didn't know who my biological dad was, and as a young little girl, you want to know these things, right? So my mom never said anything. She's like, I'll tell you when you're older. I'll tell you when you're older. And I was like, what? I was like, this is so weird, right? So I just didn't have any idea. So I kind of felt like that was the little piece of me that I needed. So I feel through all of that, I was almost seeking validation. Right, so when I moved schools, I went to a Catholic school. So I moved from public system to Catholic, so completely different. Yeah, and I wasn't in an overly religious family. We would go to church for big events, masses for Christmas, because some of my family members are very religious. So we'd go with them, we'd do different things, and I always liked going and learning things, but it was never we'd pray every night at the table and do those different kind of activities that you would normally see in that. And so I'd go and I started learning religion, and I was like, well, this is crazy. But the people I made friends with.
I love it. Well, I started learning about this religion thing, and oh, it's crazy. Well said. Well said.
So these people, it was a very small school. Me and my sister were both able to go there. It was within our community. There was I think less than 200 people in the junior high wing. And so that's not very big if you consider all 3 grades. And the people that like accepted me, like the very first thing, we opened the sewer. I was actually a band from Zellers. I was stealing makeup with my new group of friends.
Nice.
Yeah, so I was grounded. I wasn't actually supposed to be out, and I like called my mom and I was like, "We're looking for my friend's earring in the field." And my mom was like, "What?" Yeah, like
Man, the shit we come up with, eh?
the worst lie possible. And it all started. We opened the sewer, like the pothole things. We pulled it off. We crawled in. And we smoked weed down there. And I was like, oh my gosh, like we are in an episode of The Ring or something. Like there was some creepy stuff down there.
No doubt.
Yeah, and so like then I was like, I don't know how I'm supposed to feel. So I'm like at dinner, I'm like, I'm gonna eat 2 pork chops. Like I had no idea.
That's how you were supposed to feel.
Yeah, like no idea what's going on. My parents were like, what is wrong with you? And I was like, nothing. Nothing at all. I'm like, with the worst lie, right? And I'm like, are my eyes red? Like, what's going on? Anyway, so like that was like my first little experiment there, and I didn't really do too much. Like I became really good friends with this group. We all went to school, and we went from 200 to like a high school that was like 1,500 kids.
Wow.
So like it was like drastically big, and the school I was in was like super, super bad for bullying.
Oh, okay.
And so once I got there, like I just started drinking over the summer, so I was like, cool. And like things like progressed really fast. I got a fake ID. It actually was a green card saying I was new to Canada. So it was a picture of me, like this completely fake thing. So with that, I was like, yeah, like everybody needs me because I have this ID. I can buy alcohol. I can buy smokes. And being 15, grade 10, you're like people are like, yeah, I want to hang out with her because
you're super cool.
Right? But they didn't even like me for me. It was like I could do things for them. And through this, I met like a group of friends, and these were the guys that like to go party, but they were like the rougher guys, like get into fights, and it was like the bad fights, right? Like very violent for absolutely no reason. Like we're like at a house party, but I loved these people, but they were like all into such terrible things. But I felt like I was accepted with them because I had this ID, and the best thing was people would be like, oh, like where are you from? Like sometimes I'd do like an accent, like just play it. And then I'd be like, where do you think I'm from? And then they'd like guess something, and I'd be like, you're so right, like completely. And like the cashier would be like excited that it's like they didn't really fully check the ID, you know, like I'm just like joking around and whatnot. But anyways, so
That sounds like fun. Yeah.
right, a little
Totally.
fun game. But through that, like I didn't really think that like I was doing anything different because everybody else was doing it. It didn't matter what school you went to. But then like the mean girls started coming out that were in older grades. They'd be like really mean, and like they did bad like froshings almost.
Yeah.
Like it was like a big problem. We had like our own constable there and everything. Yeah, so it was like intense. And
So
like
they took Mean Girls to a new level then.
yeah. I luckily wasn't on like the worst end of receiving stuff, but there was definitely a group of girls that did not like me. I have no idea why, but
How could they not? Right?
right? They're all angry. But like as time went on, like it started getting worse. Like I started drinking at school. Like I was skipping school, but like I still had like my part-time job going since like I don't know. I think I had it for like 3 years and like going forward, and like I was skipping school, and I started doing drugs at school. I took ecstasy in school, and my teacher was bald, and I was like, oh no. I was like, what is going on? It was computer class too, and they're like, are you gonna turn your computer on? And I was like, I don't think so. Like, yeah, and I was like, this is bad. I was like, why? Like,
Did
why
you say your teacher was bald?
Yes.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's like all shiny, like
Oh,
reflecting in
no.
the light.
Yeah.
So I was like, this is way too much happening right now.
Did you daydream about polishing it with like a little claw?
I don't know. All I remember is walking up to him, and I was like so awkward, and I was like, may I go get a sip of water? And he was like, sure. Like, all right. But so like as I like finished school, then I actually was right when I was finishing, my 2 aunts that helped raise me So when I was younger, I guess I skipped this part. My grandma ran a foster home with one of her sisters. And so like my mom would take me there as a little girl. And so like I wasn't in the foster care system, but I was around it. And these kids used to beat me up. They'd like push me down the stairs, they'd pin me down and bite me. Like, yeah.
Kids are mean, eh?
Super mean.
Yeah.
Right? So like I think fear was just in me at such a young age. And so the two aunts, one of them was diagnosed with, I think it was lung cancer. No, it was some form of cancer anyways. And so like I went out a few times to go see her, and like it was just really sad. And then the last visit I decided not to go because I was like too busy partying with my friends, and I was like not thinking that time was of the essence. And then she passed away like a couple days before I walked the stage when I graduated, and like her funeral was the day I walked the stage. And my family's like, we're not going to Saskatchewan, because I went to school here in Calgary, to go and see her, like, or to go to her funeral. Like, you're gonna walk the stage, it's what she would want, right? You can't miss this day just to go there. And I was like, okay, like that's fine. But right around the same time, the other aunt got diagnosed with throat cancer.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, it was, and then it was like so quick. And then in August, it was 2 days before my 18th birthday, she'd passed away. And she asked me to read the eulogy, out of all people. Like, I have a fear of public speaking, like to the max. Like I get sweaty, I get lip sweat, I can't think straight, like it's bad. And I'm like, like wiping away, whatever.
You don't get like beads of sweat on your lip, you get like pouring sweat on your lip?
It just gets, I don't know. I have not looked in the mirror when this happens.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
And so we had to go, and it was like the saddest thing. And the crazy thing is, I haven't gone and seen her gravesite until this past summer. So in the 2019, and that's 10 years since she passed, because it took me that long to like fully grieve her. Like I was just not going to do it. Like I was so heartbroken, and I didn't fully process it really for quite some time, because what did I do? I'd come back and started partying, like whatever and whatnot. And then at that point I was like, okay, like, wow, I am like doing drugs all the time. I'm at work high. I'm drinking all the time. Like, thank goodness I was able to keep jobs for like longer than like a year. Yeah. I got fired from another one for stealing, but that's a hard one to control sometimes. Wow, that looks nice. I'm like, oh, no. My skewed thinking.
It's amazing how we can get twisted up, eh?
Yeah, right? Yeah. You just start thinking about something and you're like, oh, no, that is a terrible thought.
Yeah. Or what back in the day you think about it, you're like, that's a terrible thought, but I'm going to do it anyway.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Happened many times.
Yeah.
And so then I was like, you know what? Like, I'm going to go to school. And so my one best friend was like, well, I'm going to go out to school in Vancouver. You should come, because we both wanted to take like a tourism program. And she's like, I found a marketing management one with a tourism option. It's the same as SAIT, but it's BCIT. It's in Burnaby. Yeah. And she's like, I got accepted and I'm going to go. And so I applied there and I applied at SAIT. I got accepted to both. And I was like, well, if I get a student loan, I'm going to obviously go to Vancouver, right? Like, get out of the city, new scenery, like detox myself from like this toxic lifestyle that I like just loved, and like it was the same thing every weekend, like going to the clubs, getting guest lists, partying till this time, sick, eating garbage food, right? And I wasn't in very good shape because that was not one of my priorities whatsoever. So I go out to BC, me and her get settled, and then I slowed down on the drugs, but then like there's a bar on campus. And like, that's terrible. I did win a pizza eating competition there.
Nice.
I am very proud of myself.
Congrats.
Yes, thank you.
I'd be proud too.
Yeah. And so they named a drink at the bar after me and my best friend, because we were always there.
What's the name of the drink?
Hello Kitty.
Hello Kitty.
Yeah. We always wore Hello Kitty stuff. Like, if you look back at my old photos, I'm like 6 spray tans deep, like idolizing Snooki and JWoww. Like, I'm like, it was not.
I don't even know who those people are.
They're from
I'm assuming they're
Jersey
people.
Shore.
Oh my God. Okay.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Man, stop. Stop it.
Snooki.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah. Just wait, I'll show you photos. Like,
Okay.
and I'm orange, and like
Yeah.
I was always like, I'm never orange.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, like,
I can't picture it, right? That's why I'm laughing, because I'm looking at you like, really? I can't picture it.
oh, it's great.
I can't wait to see it, but I can't picture it.
Yeah. And so go out there, we're an alcoholic, whatever. And so living out there was tough. Like, it's expensive, the job competition's tough. And I don't know, like, what happened. Like, I think I was jealous of my best friend. Like, she was like this very like petite, skinny, beautiful girl, right? And in my mind, that's what guys idolize. That's what they like were after. And so anyways, like, I don't even know like how the falling out happened, but it's like it just happened. And so I moved back, and then me and her never talked again, which is like so crazy to me to think. And I was like, when? Like, what is going on? And then when I moved back, that's when I was introduced to like the drug that ruined my life, which is cocaine.
Yeah.
And I remember my friend, they're like, no, Amber, like, you have an addictive personality. I really don't want to do this. And I'm like, if you don't give it to me, I'm going to find it somewhere else. Like, give it to me. You know what I mean? And I was like, you don't know where it's going to come from. And he's like, oh, okay, like, you psycho, here you go. And then I think maybe that's what kind of detached me from like my old party friends, as well as that one best friend, because she was always against it. And in a sense, I think I felt so much guilt and shame that like I came back just to do this. But at the same time, I moved back and I was like, I do not like what I went to school for whatsoever. And
What did you go to school for?
marketing management with the tourism option.
Yeah.
I just, honestly, I moved out there to be with her, and like I thought the schooling was going to be a little bit different. I don't really know. I was very naive. I think I still am a bit. Like the years of bad decisions that have caught up to me.
Yeah.
So I moved back, and I got a personal trainer because I was like, you know, like, I don't like the way I look, and like maybe if I start working out more, I'm not going to party as much. And for a while it worked. It really did. But because I had taken cocaine, I was like, I'm pretty sure bodybuilders take this. And so I easily stopped drinking because I was like, you know what? I'm going to compete. And I did. But I did a lot of like stimulants in the process. Right. And so because I wasn't drinking and that was like my only thing, like I was, oh my gosh, doing terrible amounts by myself, like taking out of like my Visa card. Like at this point I was like a bit of a closet person. And around the same time, my mom gave me her car. Okay. So I just got my license. I like have 2 jobs. I'm working at the gym as a personal trainer because I went to school for personal training. Did I say that?
Nope.
Okay. So yeah, I moved back. And when I started training, I was like, I love this. So I was like, I'm going to go to school for this. So I went to school for 4 months, got my personal training. And so I had that. And then I was working at a studio where we taught like pole dancing, aerial yoga, all sorts of things like that. And there was 4 studios that I got to oversee like the operations for. So it was really cool. And so my mom gives me this car to help me out. And she's like, I'm getting a new one. Within a week, the battery dies. And so I get it in, and they're like, you know, it's going to cost $500 for a battery. And I was like, nope, screw that. I'm getting that brand new car over there. And my mom's like, no, like, why are you doing that? Pay $500. And I was like, no, I'll use that $500 towards a new car. And mom's like, no, that's a terrible idea. And I was like, I did the math in my head, Mom. I'm an adult. And she's like, oh, signed it. Okay, signed the papers, done deal. And
that is some interesting math.
It's caught up to me now. I called like, I think it was like a year ago, and I was like, hey, like, I've been paying this stupid car for like, how long? Like 5 years. Like, how much longer do I have? They're like 3 more years. And I was like, how long of a lease did I sign? They're like 96 months. And I was like, that's a lot. I was like, how many years is that? Like, I can't do that like much math. And they're like, 8 years. I was like, oh my gosh. So like I'm still paying for that one right now.
I didn't even know they did 9-year leases.
8.
8? I didn't know they did that.
Well, let me be the first to tell you.
Thank you very much.
Don't do it.
Don't do it. Okay.
Yeah, so I get this car, and like I'm this closet junkie. I quit one of my jobs because it's slowly overtaking, and then I start dating one of the guys that's supplying it to me. Oh my gosh, terrible decision. our relationship was very like fueled in that like toxic environment. Like he like cut me off from my family. Like I started missing work. I was like just not doing what I was supposed to be doing. And like I was like just hooked on this stuff. And like, oh my gosh, it was such a terrible time. But anyways, that like completely just spiraled out of control. We were engaged in a month, but I don't know if like I don't know if we can even consider it a real engagement. It was very like drug fueled, but I had a ring and he went down on one knee.
Technically that counts.
I don't know if it's because it's me trying to be like no and
no, you can seriously you can do that high and still counts.
Yeah, so he was like, he was just not like, he'd like text my family and like threaten them, and like he would like sweet talk me to like make me feel like I could only depend on him. He only had my best interests, and like he'd say all these things to my family. Like it was just not good. So I became like very depressed, right? Because like my family's not really wanting to be around. It's awkward at family gatherings. I'm high, they know. I'm like trying to hide it, like itching my nose, like running to the bath, like just not, it was not a good time. They didn't really say much because like what can they really do, right? And when they did, like I'd go full defensive mode. Right? Like, no, I don't want to talk about it. Like, I didn't want to talk about my addiction that I didn't even know I had an addiction at this point. Right? Like, I just didn't consider it. But I remember, like, sometimes I'd go without it and I'd be, like, shaking. Like, just, like, one time I remember I collapsed on the ground. Like, just, like, not normal things. And I was, like, not processing it. And then we moved to this, like, this house, like a trap house. And there was, like, a bunch of roommates. We'd always party. And then lo and behold, my house gets raided. And all my roommates had people over. They all did acid that night. So they're all coming down. And I actually slept that night for a couple hours because I was like, guys, like I work tomorrow. I'm not doing that. And I cannot go to work like that. So like I'm going to get some sleep. And I remember like it was like 3 or 4 hours. And then I could hear like stomping. And I was like, what the hell is that sound? And it's like, stop. I was like, my roommates are loud, but like, are they partying upstairs again? Like, it's 11 a.m. And then I hear Calgary police, and I was like, oh my God. And I was like, trying to like wake like my fiance, air quotations to the max.
No matter how many times you use air quotes, it still happens.
And so at this time, like, I'm like waking him up, and he's like, what's going on? Like, this is not. And I was like, you want to bet? And like, I don't know what they were doing to the house, but like there was burns like all over the walls. They were like throwing stuff down. There's like loud bangs in the house. Next thing I know, our door's booted, but it's like the bedroom door like breaks on the top.
Yeah.
And like, I swear, like 8 police officers are like leaping through, and I was like trying to process this, and I was like, okay, I'm naked. Like, I need some clothes. And they're like, no, you have to lay there. And I was like, I'm pretty sure I have a right to clothes. Like, I'm really scared right now. And like, before this, I haven't had any encounters with the police. So you can just imagine like my fear, like I'm freaking out. And I was
Were they the guys in the jumpsuits?
They were jumping over. Like
no, but were they wearing the one-piece jumpsuit kind of guys? With
honestly, I don't remember.
Too
I know there was like dogs and stuff around the house. Like
definitely the jumpsuit guys.
Yes, like, and so like they give me clothes, but they gave me like my fiance's sweatpants, and he was really skinny, and I was like, when I am stressed, I gain weight. Like I don't lose weight. Like my body holds on to it. So like I'm quite a bit bigger. So these are like so tight. I just have a sweater on, and I'm like, at that point I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm screwed. Like what just happened? And so what ended up happening, so I get handcuffed, he gets handcuffed, we go into the car, we take downtown to the Holy Cells. We're arrested for trafficking. And no surprise there, but like, not that I was crazy, but like.
Well, you just happened to be there.
Yeah, like I helped out and stuff like that. Like my ex was rather abusive. Like he did a lot of like emotional and financial stuff. Like he would like take money out of my account. Like there's times like he'd like pull my leg, like bust at my knee, like not good things. He'd like push me and like whatever, like it was what he does, like not saying it's okay.
Definitely not.
But like I was just afraid of him, right?
Yeah.
So whatever. And we go down, and I was in jail for 24 hours, and it was the worst experience of my life. I cried so hard. My one best friend, she was in there. She's like, Amber, what are you doing here? And I was like, oh my gosh.
Wow.
I was like, what are you doing here, first of all? But she kind of helped me out. But it was at that point, I was like, I don't know what to do. I called my parents. They didn't answer. And I was like, I wonder if they have like an idea like where I am. And I just remember telling one of my roommates when I was getting taken away to call my work that I wasn't going to be in there. Because I had all the studio phones. And I was like, I don't know what's going to happen. So I was released, and me and that guy had stayed together. We had to get like a no contact lifted to prove like we were still living together, but we were living at his parents' house, and like I was trying to stay sober because I was like, look, like we can't do that again. Like we don't have money to be doing this. Like at this time, like my credit cards are maxed out. I'm behind on insurance payments. My car payments aren't like going through. And because he was gambling too, right? He would take my money, gamble it, and then he would lose it. And I was like, well, and then he'd make me feel bad. He's like, well, you're doing all the drugs, so like you should pay for it. And I was like, some truth, but
Here's a truth bomb.
Yeah. Couldn't really respond to that one. And so we
You're doing all the drugs. You should probably pay for it.
So as much as I didn't want to accept it, like, okay. And so we tried to make it work, and it just wasn't like. So I ended up breaking up with him, and he'd beat me a bit, and he basically locked me out of the house, and he kept like all my electronics, all my clothes, everything, and like he wouldn't give me any of my stuff back. And so at this point, he has all the drugs, all the money, everything, and I'm coming down. So like I'm going through like some insane stuff, like staying at like my boss's house, and I'm going through like psychosis. Like I'm waking up with sweats in the middle of the night. Like I hear my ex yelling at me, and I'm like, holy. I'm like driving, and I'm like seeing him in like random places in like a Meridian. Like, what are you doing in him, like standing there? He's not even there, you know, like crazy stuff. And I was like, oh, I'm going like insane right now. And so I ended up getting some of my stuff back. I didn't get like any of my electronics, like my iPad, 3 of my TVs, and they were like nice big TVs, like Samsung. None of it back. And I was like, just keep that stuff. I don't care, but like, what the hell are you gonna do with girl clothes? Like, give it to me. Like, and so I'm pretty sure he peed in some of them.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't know. It was like, why didn't it smell weird? And I was like, I don't know. But I got some of the stuff, but I basically had to like rebuild or like, I don't know, what is the proper term, what I'm trying to find here. I just had to get new stuff, I guess. And so when I break up with him, like it was the scariest thing in my life, like, because I didn't know what was going to happen. My car was in the process of it was going to be repossessed. Like it was getting like to the point where they're like, we're going to come find you. Like you cannot hide. Your car is going to be taken. And so at that point, what was I doing? Oh, yeah. At the end of that summer, I filed for bankruptcy because like I had my student loans, like the car's about to be repossessed, like all these different debts had racked up over like this like crazy intense like 1.5 years or something since I've been back. And so I go through that, and then at this point I'm like trying to convince myself like I'm not a drug addict, like I'm a perfectly normal human being, right? So like if I wasn't drinking, I was doing drugs. If I wasn't doing drugs, I'd be drinking, and that was like my reasoning. I'm like, well, I'm not doing both. Like, there's that. So,
fair enough.
Yeah.
Touche.
Yeah. And so like I'm dating these like weird like sketchy guys, like fully tattooed, like face tats, like
Fully tattooed sketchy guys, eh?
Okay, well not you. Like
nice.
you're no.
Nice.
Not you.
I'm just kidding. That was pretty sketchy.
Yeah. So
that was Darcy.
Yeah, that's the key word there.
How dare you?
Oh god, like date this guy that just got out of serving 4 years. Like he's like, I'm ready to settle with you, and I was like, no, you've been locked up for 4 years. I'm pretty sure you don't want to be tied down right now.
Yeah.
And like one time he like, what did he do? He was lying about something. We got in this fight, and then like he called me at like some weird time in the night. He was like, I miss you, come over in the morning and like I'll give you these like pain meds for your back. I think I threw out my back when I was teaching or something like that. I was teaching pole and stuff like that at the time.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. And I like get there in the morning and I was like, why are you not answering your phone? I'm like so angry, like drove all the way downtown, like woke up early, like, so I'm like pissed and I'm like banging like on this apartment door and like nothing. And then this guy's like comes, he's like, oh, I've seen you here before, like your boyfriend lives upstairs. And I was like, yeah. And so I go and I'm like banging on his door, and then he answers the door like half naked, and I was like, what are you doing? I go in and it's this girl, me and her don't get along. She's laying in his bed, and I was like, I was like so pissed. So I like lay in the bed with them. Hey, I'm like, what are you guys doing? And they're like, oh my god. Yeah. So I get my stuff, I leave, and I was like, no, like this is not gonna work out. And then so I'm like venting about it.
Did you actually lay in the bed with them?
Yep, I laid at the foot of the bed, and
oh
she was
my
like,
god, that's awesome. That's awesome.
I was pissed. I was like, you know what, motherfucker? Like,
it took me a second because I thought you were kidding, and I'm like, I don't think she's kidding. I think she actually laid down on the bed.
No. She was dressed and I was dressed.
Yeah.
So, like,
oh, well, okay, that's not as
not
fun.
as cool, but
Not as cool. I'm just kidding. It's still pretty fucking cool.
And so I'm like telling my sister about this because like I think did she meet him? I don't remember. But anyways, so I'm telling my sister about it, and the next thing I know, I'm like on Facebook, and I'm like, Harley's in a relationship, and I'm like looking at the name, and I'm like, that's my sister. And I'm like, what the hell? Yeah, okay, so I'm like losing it on my sister, and I was like,
Is your sister older or younger?
She's 7 years younger than me.
Oh, okay.
And he's like 2 years older than me, and I was like, what? Like, what the hell is this?
Yeah.
You know, and she's like, we have a deep connection. And I was like, listen here, girl, you're 18. No. Like, this is not. And I, like, call my family. And, you know, I just found out I was pregnant. And that's why I was losing it. And I was like, you're going to make me lose this baby. So that was that chaos with that guy. But my son's dad was kind of mixed in that. So we'd met, and we got pregnant so quick. We met on Christmas, I think 2016 or something like that. We got pregnant January 13th, which is his birthday. Yeah. Fun times. Yeah, right?
Happy birthday?
Yeah. And so February 3rd, I found out because I was like, it was weird. My body, I was like, it was like, something's not right. Like, so I go to the doctor's office. Like, no, first I take this test. And I call my best friend, and I was like, nighttime, and I was like, it says I'm pregnant. I was like, but I bought it from the dollar store, so it doesn't count, right? And she's like, no, a faint line is a faint line, Amber.
Yeah.
Like, you are pregnant. And she was like, you know, like, she was there through it all. Like she kind of like did a lot of the stuff with me, but she kind of smartened up and was like, you're being really crazy right now.
Yeah.
And so she was like, you're facing your court charges right now. Like, right now is not a good time for you to have a kid. Like, you have all this debt. Like you just went through bankruptcy. Like, I really don't think that this is a good idea. She's like, you don't know this guy, right? And so, like, I was kind of, like, pissed. And I was like, that's not the answer I was looking for. So I was like, whatever. And I was like, you know what? Like, that's true. So I'd set up an abortion appointment because I was scared. I was like, that's true. Like, and so I called my mom after I went to the doctors, where the doctors are like, surprise, I heard you're pregnant. And I was like, they didn't tell me that yet. I'm like petrified sitting on this doctor's table. And they're like, oh, all right. And I was like, okay, call my mom. And my mom gave me the completely opposite. She was like so ecstatic, over the moon, like so excited she was going to be a grandma. And I was like, okay, if I have her support, cool. And so I tell my dad and my stepmom, and at the time my stepsister was pregnant. It's like she's 6 months ahead of me or something like that. And I told them, they're like, another grandbaby. And I was like, okay. So I had to call and I canceled the abortion appointment because I was like, you know what? Like, if my family supports me on this, I'm perfectly okay. And my son's dad at the time was like, yeah, absolutely. Like, you know, like, I want to have this kid, but if you don't, like, I will do my best to try and accept it as it is. He's like, but, like, I will support you and our family in any possible way. So I was like, yeah. And he was working in the Yukon at this time, so I had to, like, call him. He's like, I'm working. And I was like, you want to hear this one?
Yeah.
And so I decided to go with it. And before I had applied for drug court, and I didn't get in. They're like, sure, like, you are a drug addict through and through. But I had a stable home. I was staying at my parents' house. I had a job, all of that stuff. So I was not a high enough risk for them in that sense.
Okay.
So there's, like, higher risk people out there. So they're going to take someone in because it's a very select program. So it was like
High demand.
yeah, so I was like super pissed about that. And so, like, that's why I was going on all these benders. I was like, I'm going to party so much before I get in there, like, whatever, like, trying to accept my fate that I'm going to go to prison and cry for like 2 years. Like, just the doom. But
That would be, man. That would be like the end of the world almost.
right?
Yeah.
To be away from my family, because I was like, everything that I have, like, my car is going to be taken away. I'm going to come out with a tremendous amount of debt. Like, I'm going to have literally nothing. And I was like, and I hated jail so much, I'm not going back. I am not. So I got pregnant, and then my lawyer's like, you know what? Like, apply. And I did, and I went in, and they brought me in because I was pregnant. And I was like, oh my God, like, yeah, like, I want to do this program. I don't want to go to prison. I don't know who I'm going to meet in prison. And I can't guarantee that I'm going to come out a good person because, like, let's be realistic. I've always followed the crowds of where I was accepted, right? And so if I'm in there, I'm going to be obviously making, like, a close bond with a girl or two. And a lot of them don't come out reformed. That's where our justice system is so broken, right? You're just kind of put in the walls and...
Well, that's why drug court is such an important program. Yeah.
Yes, I went through that, like, pretty good. Me and my son's dad got into these fights. He called my PO and was like, she's using. And I was like, I'm pregnant. I am not using. But anyway, so, like, I had to go for this big talk. They wanted to put me on, like, a no contact. And it was just, like, so many different issues. And, like, I'm trying to, like, sort out my own issues. Like, I'm in rehab for 6 weeks. Like, can't leave, going crazy, no cell phone, with other crazy people coming off drugs. Like, you know, it's not a fun place, right? Like, and you have to stay there. You have to follow a schedule, right? Their food's really salty, like, really salty. And so... anyways, I get out, and I'm still on these conditions, and they, like, have their eye on me because they're very unsure about my son's dad. He's a little unstable. Like, I think you've seen him at meetings with me before, like, when I was pregnant. Maybe?
I probably have, yeah.
Yeah, like, he used to come with me, and, like, he admits he's an alcoholic, and then other times he doesn't. He's kind of, like, he's kind of in between, whatever. None of my business. But, so... I get out of drug court and everything's fine. And then I was like, I convinced myself. I had convinced myself that I was not an alcoholic. I was like, you know what? No, like, I think I can manage a few drinks. And to be quite honest, the first time I drank, I had half a cooler and I was like feeling it. And I was like, ooh, yes. And I was like, okay, I can do this. But it spiraled within like a couple months span. Like, I went right back in there. Like, I was like just so deep, like thinking that I was able to drink the same amount I could before. So, like, I'm like overly intoxicated, driving my car. Like, my son's not with me. Let's just be clear here. He was safe at a family member's house. And so, like, I'd be out doing my thing. And then I'd be hungover. Like, I have to go pick him up. Like, trying to be a normal human being. But really, like, I'm just putting on shows, ordering in food. Like, not so great. And I skipped a big part.
You can talk about it. We got time.
Yeah, I skipped a part. So... when I was like, was I still in drug court? Yeah, I was still in drug court. I think I was on probation when me and my son's dad had broken up. and he like punched holes in the walls. It was a really bad situation. There was a lot of anger and hostility. Like, I won't go into details, but it just got really bad and intense, and like I was really scared. Like, I had to get like a police enforced restraining order, and like I was in a domestic violence shelter because like we didn't know what was going to happen. But in his defense, like, he was so upset that the family was broken up, that his own unresolved trauma from his childhood was just like up in forefront, and that was the only way he knows how to respond. Not saying that it's okay, once again.
It's definitely not okay, but I understand what you're saying.
But like there's reasons why people act the way that they do, right?
100% correct.
And so like I tried giving him benefit of the doubt, like time and time again. It's just like clashing. We couldn't do it. Like safety concerns would be there, and so. Anyway, so like I end up getting Cruz like most of the times. I think for like a solid year, I had him like full time, like just like day in, day out. Like, my mom would help out occasionally, and so then I started drinking, thinking it was okay, and then no, right back, drug of choice, because I'd get too drunk, and then I'd like want to sober up, and then I'd still want to party, but like, you know, like that back and forth, that happens to everybody. And then it was one day we were in my apartment. It was like dark in there, and Cruz was like so excited, like wanting to play, and I was sicker than a dog, like not feeling well. I didn't sleep well. My nose is sore, like so many issues happening. So it was that at that point, like I looked at him and I was like, no. I was like, this is not what I want for my son, to have a dad that he doesn't want to see, or that he doesn't see that often. And then this mom who's like works all week, and then on the weekends can't even play with her own child, can't even feed him a nutritious meal. I was like, no. And I was getting it back into the gym at that point too, and like I was having like 4 or 5 day hangovers. Like, I was not in good condition. It was affecting the gym. Like, I would gain weight, I'd go down a little bit, go party, and I was like, no. And so then I came back into the rooms, but it wasn't until that moment is when like my entire program had changed, because before I was just going through it to get my paper signed for court, to show that I can do it, prove to everybody once again that I'm not this alcoholic. Like, for like my ego is always like, are you really though? And I'm like, yes. Stop testing me.
Eventually you're going to figure it out.
Yeah.
We just hope it's not too late, right?
Yeah, exactly.
When we do, yeah.
100%. And so it was then, like, for me, like, when people say higher power, like, I've tried so many different ways to, like, find a higher power, that praying to God, like, sure, sometimes I'll say God or whatever, but really, like, I have a hard time, like understanding it and putting, like, I'm a science person. So with that being said, like, I'm huge into like the energies, the universe. And so for me, that is what I found it in. So like, if you like ever see my place, it's like all zen and stuff. I ordered this like galaxy light to look like space. Like, this big oasis where it's just like very calming.
But does it work? Do those lights work?
Yes.
I love it. I love the idea.
100%. And
Cool.
I've been getting more, like, I have like crystals and stuff, and like I try and do like burning rituals, like where I like write things on paper and like think about the energies, you know what I mean? Like, very into that stuff, because it, like, everything at the end of the day is energy. So if I put positive energy out there, it's gonna come back, right? And so I just work it that way, and I just try and do like manifestation stuff and whatnot. And for me, that's what's been working. But with that happening, like, I don't know, like, I've never actually been diagnosed with anxiety or anything like that. Like, I've never saw a doctor, because it hasn't happened very often. But it's like, with there's just so much going on in my life. Like, there's this, like, my son's dad, like, my family obviously does not like him. But for me, I'm like, well, this is my son's dad. Like, he wants to be a part of his son's life. We just need to find a way where his anger can't make it to me. Right? Because one of the times he did kick my car, and like our son was there, and like I was so scared, right? Like, what am I supposed to do? And for me, I was like, okay, well, like, how can he see his son, but like me not have to see him, right? Because his anger is towards me, And like Cruz loves his dad, like 100%. Like he'll ask about him and whatnot. And I mean, if their connection there is good and Cruz isn't coming home and acting weird and like saying weird things, I'm okay. Right? As long as I know like he's okay and he's returned at like the proper times, I'm okay. But then like everybody else has their opinion. So I was like really struggling with so many different pressures of life and like trying to stay sober, trying to do this, trying to like so many things, and like my own self expectations that like I was going crazy. I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, I don't know how to handle this. And so I never actually like went to the doctors for it, but I have recently started taking like CBD things, and it's helped tremendously. Yeah. Like I just take like this little dropper in the morning, and then it just like sets me up for a better day where I'm not falling to like my own, like, I don't even know, anxiety. Like even at work, I'm like, am I doing something wrong? Like what's going on? Like, did I screw this up? Why is this person calling? And I'm like, whoa, why do I have like 1,200 voices yelling at me in my head over nothing, you know? And so with that's been helping, which in turn has been helping more with like my meditations. I'm able to sit for a little bit longer. I'm able to like think a little bit deeper. And for me, relapse had to happen in my recovery for me to get to where I am. Because now I'm comfortable, I'm confident where I am. I kind of pick and choose my battles, right? Like, usually I'm a very open and transparent person, but I feel like with my family regarding certain topics, it's better not to just say anything, because then it confuses me, because I'll do something. So it's usually like a battle between my mind and my heart, right? And it's just tearing me apart, and my heart always wins. Always. I'll do what my heart tells me, because then I feel so much more confident in my decision. A lot of like the thoughts in my head, like it's usually like because somebody was talking to me. So I'm thinking about it, I'm like, yeah, like they're totally right. And I think I just struggle a lot with like right and wrong and like gray areas. And it's like, it's really hard, right? I like science, I like facts. And so that's just where I am now.
Cool.
Trying to keep active, keeping up with my son. Like he's wild, so.
Yeah. So do you still teach like pole dancing and stuff like that? Because I see some of your posts, you do it online and stuff. So.
Yeah, so I went back teaching. So I applied at like my home studio that I originally started at. Like that's one of my best friends. Her mom owns it.
Yeah. Oh, cool.
Yeah. And so I was like, you know what? Like I want to come back teaching. Like I know I can bring a bunch of people and like bring you some business. It's gonna be so much fun. Cruz didn't like that. I'm already working full time, and for him to be away a few extra hours, or for me to be away for a few extra hours, like he wasn't responding very well. And so like he already has like night terrors, and he like
poor guy.
He'll sleepwalk and like do some weird stuff in his sleep.
We've been through quite a lot in a couple of years, eh?
Yeah. Like I think he kind of got a little bit of trauma from the fallout. Because the same time, like since we broke up, me and him both have issues sleeping for that week being of like when the initial like house smash happened. And like we both don't sleep, and he like gets like all sweat, like it's weird.
Well,
so,
it's
like,
not weird at all. It's trauma, right?
Yeah. So he's going through it, I'm going through it. It's like we're working through it. But anyway, so he didn't like it. So we're like, I'm pretty sure I'm technically still employed. Yeah. But it's just I haven't been back teaching because like we've been trying to work out a schedule for Cruz and his dad to see each other more in like a safe manner, and it's been going, but now the virus is happening, and they're doing more online classes, so I just do like pole stuff, and like I'll help like promote things with them on occasion. So right now, no, I do need to like recertify myself because they did expire, but like it was like aerial yoga, aerial hoop, and pole, and so eventually I would like to go back teaching just because it's always fun. And
sounds like it'd be a great thing to do because you're good at it, right?
And it's so much fun, like just teaching girls, like even guys. I've taught a few guys, and Actually, but I have a story about that.
Please.
Okay, so every year
Darcy might not be interested, but I'm very interested.
It's hilarious.
I'm very interested.
So it's so funny. Okay, so the Taboo show, the sex show, naughty and nice sex show, happens every year. We get a booth there. And so the one year, so I'm still drinking at this point in my life, and so we're there, we're doing our thing, but we're there like from the beginning to the end at the trade show because like I oversee the operation, so I have to be there. My best friend's there, her mom's there, and, like, so we're there all day. So we're drinking, we're right at the bar. We're going like. We sneak in alcohol in our bags so we don't have to pay full price for the overpriced drinks, whatever. Everybody does it.
Of course.
So, yeah, right? So I'm not the only one. And so I had a performance one of the nights, and it was to Mambo No. 5. It was a chair dance and pole. And like I'm nervous, so like I'm chugging drinks. The firefighters have these like tasty lemonades with their shirts off and vodka in it. And I was like, yeah, I'll definitely have all of that. Like, and so, and drinking it, and then they're like, call me up on stage, and I was like, okay, here I go. So I'm drunk, dancing, almost knocked myself out on stage, whatever. So cleaning the poles in between like whoever's using them. And the person who's hosting it, Terry, so they're standing underneath me and they're like, Amber, like you're not high enough on the pole, climb higher, clean the top. So I go and then I slide down. So basically Terry's under my butt. I'm like looking like I'm sitting on his head, like my legs are out. And he walks away and he's like, where's my wig? It was stuck in between my butt. And so I was like up on stage in front of like 1,000 people. And I was like, oh my God.
There's got to be video of this somewhere.
I'm sure.
I bet you somewhere.
Circulating with like the most embarrassing moment ever, but it's probably like one of my best memories.
Yeah,
like,
that's awesome. That's a great memory.
Oh gosh, okay, yeah. But through that is how the guys come to the studio, is because we like offer discount rates, and the girlfriends sign up them and their boyfriends. So a lot of the time the boyfriends will come, and it's a lot of fun. Just teaching them, and like some of the girls stay in it for so long, and like the confidence that some of them grow, and they're like of all ages, all sizes, like different backgrounds, and it's just cool. Like, and bachelorette parties come, so like those are even more fun because they usually were a little intoxicated, like, but you can't prove it. You'd be like, pretty sure.
But it's fun watching them anyway.
Yeah, right. They're very basic routines, and like if obviously they smell too much like alcohol, you're like no, kind of thing. But it was definitely a super fun job, and I like want to get back into actually teaching it for the fitness aspect, and just because it's a good way to bring in just a little extra money. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Do something you like. Why not?
What else do you do with your time?
So
I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not assuming you have a lot of extra time, but
so I do work full time. So Monday to Friday is just like pretty tough. Like get Cruz ready, drop him off. Usually at daycare, but right now no. And then I go to work, and then normally I would go to the gym after work, but because of everything going on, I pick up Cruz, and then we go home. We'll play. I'll make him food, just basic mom stuff.
Cool.
Yeah, and then on the weekends, like I'll try to incorporate. So like I don't know if you recently saw my setup. So I've had my aerial hoop for about like 4 or 5 years, and I just kind of sat around, like I didn't really care about it. And then within the past year, I've acquired a pole, like my own pole, and in like the last 2 weeks, I got an aerial hammock, and my roommate's like, yeah, man, like if you want to hang them up, like let's rig it up. And I was like, yes, you are the best roommate ever. So we drilled up the plates on the beam, so like now all my aerial equipment's set up.
Cool.
And
I haven't seen it yet then.
Oh yeah, it's super cool. And so with that, usually when my kid's awake, he'll usually do that stuff with me. Like he'll pole with me, like he'll sit on me and like do like nothing. He'll just giggle. And then the hammock, he's kind of learning how to swing in it. He did face plant off of it today because he tried to get off, but his little butt was stuck. So he kind of just like toppled. And like we'll do like yoga and stuff together. Like really, like I don't do too much. Like I've been sticking in my own little area. I've recently been caring for plants. I've never had a green thumb, and out of 11 plants, I've killed 2. I think that's pretty high rates for
That's a
plants.
high survival rate.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
It really is.
Low mortality.
Yeah. I'm really proud of myself.
Good
and, like,
job.
Cruz is excited about them. So, like, we're just doing stuff around home. Like, what I'm trying to do now is, so in my last move, Clark, he helped me move. Him and my friend broke my bed frame. It was stuck together, so they were trying to get it apart. And they're just like, do you mind if we kick it? And I was like, go for it. Like, whatever you can do to try and get it apart. No. It just, it ruined it. Yeah. So I was like, whatever. Like, it's like an old bed frame. It's like one of those stupid IKEA ones.
Okay.
The one, like, you get them together and you can never get them apart. You need, like, a 10-part manual. Like,
Yeah. And not in Swedish.
yeah, right? It's like some more clear instructions to do this. So what I want to do is I actually want to build a bed frame out of like pallets and stuff.
Cool.
Yeah, and I want to put like lights along the bottom, like those fairy lights, and like maybe have a plant in there.
Yeah.
Detoxify the air, you know?
That's cool.
Yeah, and I've been trying to do some reading on like more like holistic stuff because I think I want to go down that pathway. I'm always changing my mind on what I want to do.
You got lots of time.
But like I want to like be able to help people, and I don't feel like the more natural stuff is easily accessible. Because even when I was looking at my Blue Cross, because I was like, you know what, like I kind of want to go to a naturopath, and my benefits only cover the initial visit for me and Cruz. And I was like, cool. So I'm gonna get my blood work taken, and then I'm gonna have to pay like a couple $100 to go back.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why is it like that? Why is it so difficult for these things, right? So I want to hopefully do that and be able to like offer services to people who are like lower need or low income is what I'm trying to say.
Gotcha.
And like the elderly and stuff like that. Because like I have a very big heart for the elderly. My grandma used to work there.
Cool.
And so I used to go all the time, like wear like my princess costumes and like talk to them. Yes, like so like I love them.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. So that's basically all I do.
Cool.
I see Nicole occasionally, but now we usually do Sunday dinners.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but because everything going on, I haven't really, which is fine. You know what? Like some people hate it, but I've actually quite enjoyed not going out and doing anything.
Yeah, me too.
Right?
Yeah.
You're able to kind of find new things that you're kind of interested in, and it's nice.
Yeah, like I don't miss the general population. I miss my friends. That's what I miss, right? Like I don't miss mingling with just everybody. Because usually everybody's a pain in the ass. When you have to mingle with everybody, it becomes a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
But
yeah, it is.
I'm with you. I actually like it a lot.
I really do, and I've just like noticed that like communication with people, like like when I was in my addiction, like I was terrible for communicating. You know, like I just wouldn't say things, or I'd be like, you know what, like I'm just not gonna answer that and pretend like they didn't ask that and make it like let it go away, right? Like so, not a good way to communicate. So over like I don't know the past like 6 or 7 months, I've been really working on being able to communicate with people better, and it seems like people just don't want to be able to communicate, right? They prefer not to talk about things, and like I've been like let down by certain things in like several different instances that like it's not that I hate people, it's like if I'm by myself like doing the things I like, I don't need to worry about like the disappointment of people lying
and the expectations of other people.
Yeah, like because people say things and then they just don't follow through with it, and then they don't want to talk about it, and I'm like, okay, just like I just want to understand, like I'm not mad, you know, like so I don't know. It's been a really interesting time of reflection, and it seems like every few weeks something keeps happening where like I've had to reflect. And like, do you believe in numerology?
I have no idea what it is. So.
It's like I don't know too much about it. Google's been my best friend for the past few weeks here, and it's like seeing repeating numbers, like not specifically looking for it, and then all of a sudden seeing like 1111 or 2222.
That's what I thought it was.
Yeah, and it's just like constantly, and like okay, so yeah, like through my manifestation, right? Like so, I don't know, like I'll like pray for I don't know, like some sort of healing for someone, right? Like okay, good example. So me and my mom were butting heads not too long ago. I hate when people give opinions when it's not asked. When you are talking to someone, just kind of talking for comfort, you know, like going to your safe zone, right? So like that's what I did to my mom, and then my mom kind of just gave me her opinion. So I got mad. I like lost my marbles on her, and I like was like, no, like, and she was like, you're a little crazy right now, and so like. I think I was a little mental at that time because I fought with a lot of my family at that. I was the underlying issue, but...
So it's quite possible you were acting insane.
Yeah, but like, I was still upset. Like, I didn't ask for your opinion. Like, I just needed you to be there for me. And so what I ended up doing was I like wrote like letters to like whoever like I was feeling tensions with, and like I would read it. I would like try and envision things and whatever, and it was like all like good things. Like I pray for this for them so like they can get healing, like whatever. And I'd burn it and I'd watch it burn, and it was like weird. Like certain letters would not, or like certain words wouldn't. It would be like trust and then like courage, and I was like, this is weird. And so like at the end I was like, just like give me a sign like that, like I'm on the right track, like I just need to know like I'm okay, because like I'm losing it here, like I'm not okay, like and then all of a sudden all these like numbers started popping up and like just like weird things, and I was like, what? And so I've kind of just been going crazy in the background by myself because all these like crazy things are happening. But it just like reassures me that I'm doing things that are making my soul happy. Because all my life I've been trying to please other people, right? And be appreciated. But like now I'm like, I don't care what that person thinks. I really don't. Right? Because I never wear makeup anymore. When you probably see me at meetings, like my hair is like half sticking out of a ponytail.
Yeah, but I never noticed whether you were wearing makeup or not.
Oh, yeah. No, I used to wear it all the time, and
I'm a dude, though, so don't
a
feel
hassle
bad.
to wipe it off.
Yeah.
I'm lazy, to be quite honest. Like, that's the main reason, is because I was tired of wiping it off and having black stuck on my face.
Yeah.
So I was like,
That's a good enough reason.
Yeah.
For sure.
My toddler with the pull at my face. Stop. So, like, just better overall. He doesn't have the patience for me to do it either. So, whatever. Like, I'm going to go without it. And I'm happier without it, you know? Like, I'm not constantly covering up zits. When I am, I'm scratching them and sending pictures to Nicole. Look at this. Like, this, like,
you look fantastic, though. You don't have to worry about it.
Thank you.
I don't think women need to worry about it either, but I'm not a woman, so it's easy for me to say that. Right?
Yeah, but that also comes into the aspect of like approval, right? Because the thing though that I've learned is that society like has made the young population like beautiful, right? Like to be beautiful, you have to be young, you have to look this way. And through some of the books I've been reading, it's like how to stay healthy to like 100 years old, like just weird books like that. A lot of people, they don't materialize things like that, and they think that aging is the most beautiful thing in the world. And so when I started reading these books, I was like, you know what? That's so true. Because like the more I thought about it, I started noticing other things, and I was like 100%. Like the older population, like if you just listen to them talk about certain things, like there's always something to gain. Like even in the meetings, like when one of the old timers are talking, not saying the younger people don't have anything valuable to say, but they just have like these things that you need to hear as a younger
different
person.
Things are offering.
Right? And it is beautiful. Like they have like all this experience and different things, and like certain things that I was so sure on in my life, now I'm like, I'm not too sure about this right now, right? And so like, I don't know, just different books have just been helping, and like my whole mind frame is changing, and it's like there's weird signs that like I've been like in a spiritual awakening, and it's not by like textbook definition either. And that's where I struggled a lot, because I tried doing the big book and get this. Okay, so I started doing the big book. I had a sponsor and everything, and I got to my amendments and I was like, fuck this. No, I am not apologizing. Like, I'm not doing this. So I stopped working the stats. Okay. And then so I come back into the program and I was like, I'm going to find a sponsor. And I was like, no, I have no time. And so I started doing the steps kind of by myself, working through my own, like, things, like, not by textbook. But for me, like, doing those things, like I haven't found a sponsor that like meshes with me yet, but I got to the amendments and I've started doing them on my own terms. And get this, the girlfriend that I moved to Vancouver with, I messaged her because I was like, this is one that has to happen for me to like just leave. Like her family was amazing to me, you know, and me to just like stop talking, you know, like I always felt guilt and like shame because she's still friends with like people I grew up with, and I stopped talking to them because of that, because I was like, they're all gonna hate me, like. And so I reached out, I apologized, and I didn't hear anything for a few days. Actually, no, I think like a week went by or something like that. And she responded, and she's like, cool. She blew me away because like I was like so scared. I was like, like I thought my chest was gonna fall out of my chest. Like I was like, okay, like I'm gonna get reamed out here. This girl's good with her words, like, and like it's not like she's like passive aggressive. She's really good at like her science. She's always been like that. She's always been so much more mature than me, and she's younger than me. So I think that's also what like intimidated me, right? Because there's this ego that goes on with girls almost that I found where we're like in competition, like, oh, she's prettier than me, so like,
okay, I got
you know, like maybe it's just me, maybe I'm just the weird one, but like
I've heard that before,
right? There's like this weird, like, I don't know.
I've heard. I can't say for sure because I'm not a girl, but
you've heard
I've
similars,
heard that before,
right? Yeah. So I reached out to her, and she was like beyond nice. Like she was like, I'm so happy you reached out, and like me and her have talked ever since now. And like me and her, like it's like nothing's even passed. Absolutely nothing. Like we're still like joking around, like remembering the bad times, and it's like what I had imagined our fallout was. Like she didn't view it like that whatsoever. So like I don't know like what my problem was. I think it was definitely attributed to like my lifestyle choices, because she was like, she didn't have a problem, like sure she did a lot of this stuff with me, but she was able to just stop, you know. And I was like, that does not make sense. 'Cause for me, like when people, like my mom was talking to me once about if she doesn't want something, she's not gonna have it. She's like, I can have one drink and then not want the second one. And for me, like that makes no sense.
Yeah, no, me neither.
I'm like, you, like, how do you do that? Because I was like, once I have one, like, it's game over. Yeah. Like, I cannot, like, I was like, Mom, there's no switch for me to do that. It's once it's there, it is there. And, like, I don't know when I'm coming out, right? Like, could be a day or could be 5 months later and I'm crashing and burning and crying.
Yeah, like, or you don't make it.
Yes. Oh, my gosh. Honestly, I have, like, I'm not proud to say, but I've driven drunk so many times that it is like, oh my gosh, like, oh, I'm so lucky I've never been into an accident, injured somebody or anything like that. Because, like, could you imagine how much different my life or anybody else's life would be if I did that? Because there's people who have done that, right? And I don't know how I would handle the guilt or remorse of something like that.
Yeah, that's fair.
You know, and so my mom said this, and I was like, what? This is so crazy. But yeah, like, so still working through amendments and whatnot. There was this one guy, like, he definitely needed an apology. Like, he's, like, loved me. Like, and I just, like, ripped his heart out, smashed it into a million pieces, and just kind of, like, let him go. And I was like, that's not how you treat a human being. Like, especially one, like, that's been so kind. Like, I dated 2 of his friends. Like, come on, Amber. Like, rude. Yeah. So, and, like, even after that, like, he was just so nice to me. And so, anyways, he never uses social media, like, ever. And so, like, I was like, I don't know how else to get a hold of him. Like, I don't know where he is. Like, I know where his house is, but I'm not going to go knock on his door for his parents.
Probably not the best way to go about it,
Yeah, and I was like, it's his parents' house, and I'm pretty sure he doesn't live there anymore.
Look, I'm just breaking in to say I'm sorry, okay? Like, bear with me.
Yeah, they were like, Amber, get out.
Yeah, I'm not going to hurt you, I swear.
Just peering through. Like.
Yeah, that's right.
And so... I reached out to him, couldn't find his Facebook, and I was like, he blocked me. It was dick move, like whatever. So I was like, I'll find him on Instagram. So I found him on Instagram, messaged him, he responded. Like, I think it was like also like a week later. And he's like, you know, like I kind of just left it as is, and he was like, I'm really thankful to have you apologize. Like, that's nothing I would have ever expected you to do. Like, thank you. And like, we've been talking and whatnot. Cool. Like, we're back. Like, because me and him are always really good friends. Like, really good friends. And like, we could joke about stuff, do whatever, you know, like those friends. And so for like something like that to end, and once again, it's like where we left off, but now we both have kids. He has a little girl that's just a little bit younger than my boy.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and he just moved back to Calgary, so we're like, let's get the kids together.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. So it's been really cool. Yeah. I can't say that like how I work my program is exactly like other people's, or that it's gonna work for everybody. Yeah. But that's kind of where I was steered wrong at the beginning, is that I was made out to believe that doing the 12 steps was the only possible way. And sure, it has tremendously helped my program.
It's a great process, yeah.
Absolutely. And like, I've learned a lot about myself, but it's, I feel like if I didn't have so much pressure on that I maybe would have done a little bit better. But I mean, sometimes we crash and burn a little bit. I'm just thankful that my last one, it wasn't a terrible one.
Yeah.
A terrible one, right? Because like, I've had a few friends pass over the duration and stuff, and so it's just we're lucky that we're all here.
Yeah, we really are. Especially after all the stuff we did.
Oh my gosh, right?
Yeah. And all the stuff that happened as well.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Like, there's definitely parts that I wish I like didn't, or I don't remember.
For
like,
sure,
it kind of sucks to remember some of the things, and sometimes
Got
like
that right.
you know, like, and sometimes you ever get like flashes of like just like sadness, like just when you remember something, you're like, oh man, like I can't believe I did that, right? Yeah. And it's like, it's not like you like forget these things. It's like you still grieve, like throughout sobriety. It's like you still kind of grieve things. It's like you just gotta work through it.
And the longer you're here, the more you have to work through it.
Yeah.
Because the longer we're here, the less we lie to ourselves.
Yeah.
If we choose to just continually be open, right?
100%. And like, sometimes like still like I'll catch myself lying. Someone will like ask me a question. I'll be like, no. And I'm like, yeah. I don't know why I just said no. You know? And I'm like, why am I lying?
Man, I can relate to that knee-jerk lie like so well.
Right? Like, it's over like the most like basic thing. Like, Amber, did you eat this cookie? No. Yes. Maybe.
No, it wasn't me.
Yeah, right? Crumbs down my chin.
So what time we at, man?
Hour and 10.
Perfect. So
did I talk for that long?
Yeah, you did.
Oh my God.
And it's great. I'm glad you did. I'm glad you felt comfortable to talk. I wanted to thank you, first of all, for coming on. But I also wanted to ask you if there's anything that you would like to share with people that, first of all, you haven't shared yet, but also something that might help someone out there. Because one of the things I really appreciate about your story, and I appreciate lots of parts of it, but is the fact that it wasn't just one thing that worked for you, right? Like, there's a lot of stuff that you incorporate into your life to make the good life that you have, right? And so I think, I don't know, there's probably people out there that would love to hear something that you had to say, if there was anything. I hate to put you on the spot. Well, I don't hate it. I don't hate it, actually.
No, that's a good question. I think that probably the best message that I could share that relates so much to me is not to put so much of an emphasis on, like, if you do not believe in God, don't force yourself to believe in something that you don't actually fully believe in. You need to find something that you do believe in. And I heard it in one meeting. And what did she say? She's like, you know, like, if you find someone in a meeting that you really like and you like the way that you work your program, as long as they are one step ahead of you, they can be your higher power. Because they are doing something that you want. They are doing something that you see, you want it, you can visualize it. And maybe 4, 6 months, a year, whatever, like, that's going to work. Because for me, like, first step 1 to believe, do you know how long that took me? 9 months.
Yeah.
9 months with my sponsor. Like, that is absolutely crazy, because people are like, yeah, ready to go, let's do this. And I'm like, not ready. Not ready, right? And it's because it's just my whole life. It's just how I am. Like, I'm more interested in learning about all the religions in the world, because I like to pick and pull things that I like, and it's pretty much like my own religion.
But
But
that's kind of what the 12-step programs have us do, right? We kind of create our own philosophy that works for us.
yeah, and
Yeah.
like especially for the creative people, like just find things that you like, find a sponsor, take the time, right, to do something like that. Don't feel so rushed, and don't feel bad if you find a sponsor and they're not working for you.
Yeah, and you have to get another one. It's all
Yeah,
good.
because that's what I was afraid of, and I had a few different sponsors, and eventually I got dropped quite a few times.
It happens.
Yeah, because I was afraid to speak out and be like, this is not what I'm working for. Because like one of them, she's like, get down on your knees and pray, and I was like, no.
Yeah.
Like laying in my bed sideways. I'm like,
Yeah, there's some over the top like zealousness out there.
yeah. So like, just don't be afraid to not have a particular belief set, right? It's okay to have your own. It's okay to be a little different. But with that being said, like I still do encourage to do the 12 steps.
Yeah, try it. Why not?
I've heard of a few people who have been successful without doing it, but I've heard of more success with it. Right? Because it's not even just the aspect of the religion, it's more of the work, the inner work that you have to do. Because there's no amount of counseling and therapy that I went through that actually addressed any of that.
Yeah.
Because you can lie to a counselor.
Yeah, I know, and we're all pretty good at that.
Yeah, depending on my day. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I had a PO for so long. I was so used to just walking in, crying or laughing or like Matt, you know, like.
He's like you stop outside the door before you knock or go in, and you're like punching yourself in the face to make yourself cry. Like, whatever you have to do to make yourself cry. Yeah.
yeah, to get a little emotion out there.
You might not have punched yourself in the face, but I would punch myself in the face. Yeah.
No, I had post-pregnancy hormones, so
Nice.
it's all over the map.
That's all you needed, right?
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Amber. It is
Thank
so nice to get to
you.
know you.
Yeah.
Nice to see you.
Yes, even though we can't hug.
I know, which is a total bummer, but it's been the story of our lives doing the podcast for the last couple of weeks is just not being able to hug. Yeah.
That's honestly what I miss, and I can definitely say this has put like I haven't realized how close I like to stand to people until this whole distancing came.
Yeah.
Because people are like, "Can you please back up?" And I'm like right at their ear. I'm like, "Why?"
Yeah, totally. It's weird, right?
Yeah.
And they're like it's weird because I don't want to offend people when they do it, especially just because I know now it's weird and some people don't quite understand like what 6 feet is or they're just not. What I've encountered is arrogance. The people that are arrogant and they don't give a shit, and that bugs me because it's like, dude, you may not give a shit,
but other
right?
people do.
Yeah, but I got parents that are in their 70s. You know what I mean? Like,
You've
it's
got
cool that you
those-
don't give a shit. I totally get that.
Yeah.
You're allowed. Go give a shit somewhere else. Go
Yeah.
not give a shit somewhere else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Totally.
Besides standing 2 feet from me.
Yeah.
Like that's just
far over there.
Yeah, you need to go further than that, or else you're going to get kicked. Because if you're within kick range,
It's happening.
bad idea.
Roundhouse.
Yeah, that's right. The roundhouse. That's right.
You're going
Yeah.
far back.
That's right. I'm looking forward to like. Are you thinking of just speaking of like pure speculation? Would you be considering during this time to put any teaching online for yourself? You could do that to teach others, like do your own videos and do all that kind of stuff on your own.
I honestly probably could.
Yeah, I think you probably could because I've watched your videos. You're very good, very
Thank
skilled.
you.
Yeah.
Have you been watching the blooper videos? I've been
Always
posting
watch the bloopers. Yeah. Totally. The bloopers are the best.
Oh God, I am so ungraceful trying to be graceful, and let me tell you, it's definitely a lot of work. But
Yeah.
it's
Well, I'm watching have you ever seen pole dancing? Well, obviously you have, yeah. I'm asking this guy who spent most of his life in a strip bar. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
And we're done.
Yeah, and end.
Yeah.
Now I can't even remember what we were talking about. This happens to me a lot. It happens to me a lot. Trust me.
yeah.
Shit.
Putting videos online.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
your videos online. You could absolutely do that. Bloopers are just as fun, and I think like we were talking about it before your episode, talking about getting the YouTube channels up and getting lots of views and all that kind of stuff, so that you can start to monetize it. Is that
Yeah, monetize.
kind of how it works? You could. I think that there's probably a lot of people that would like watching your videos. right? And
I could probably get a few of my old students back.
You could get students, you could get new students.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking about that because everything that we're doing, like with my agency, is we're moving it all online.
Yeah.
Right? Like, not because it's always going to stay that way, but because, well, there's people hurting right now that might need some stuff online.
Oh, and you never know, it could really help someone, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that probably are in some very dark places, right?
Yeah.
Like people who like human connection, like who thrive on that, they're probably not doing so great. So to have something that's a little bit empowering.
Seriously,
you know,
and
like,
it's seriously empowering to watch you, like, just the strength and the stuff on the pole, right? Like, seriously, as a guy who's clumsy as shit, like, seriously, I look at you doing that, well, any woman or person doing that, and I think, I don't know how the fuck that's possible, right? Like, I was born big, and I've been big most of my life, so.
There's been a few times where I've dropped myself, done some very painful things, but
you know what? Those are the things that humanize you online, right?
It does.
They humanize you when people can see that you're not just trying to be perfect, right? Because that's more of a human, right? Like, you're way more human to be really good at something, but also to not do that something well all the time.
And
right?
I think that's what a lot of people don't see. They see people's success, right?
Because that's all they play. That's all they show.
Yeah. That people forget to kind of show that there's a lot of struggle behind where they are now.
Yeah.
100%.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's what I try to do with the podcast. That's what we tried to do from the beginning, was to make it so people could just be free to do to say what they need to say, to be who they are, and also allows us to do that too, right?
Yeah.
Like, it allows everyone to be imperfect, and I love that concept of imperfection, right?
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Of the funny side with the serious side, and
combined,
and you put it together.
100%.
Yeah.
I like that.
Amber, thank you so much for coming tonight. I am going to have you back on if you're willing to come back on. Once you get it, I hope you start these videos. I really do. I know I'm talking about it like I know what I'm talking about. I don't, but I just know that from what Darcy has taught me, there's just like a way to reach people that we might not have thought about before.
Yeah.
Right? And that's really what it comes down to.
I should consider it.
I don't know what you should do, but I mean, you would not be, I don't think you'd be wasting your time if you thought about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It'd be fun.
Because it is fun. It looks like you're having fun when you do it. And I am not the only one who likes to watch people have fun with what they're doing, right? Like,
right.
It's kind of what makes the internet go around.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Who knew cats would be the fucking thing, right?
Oh, yeah.
Our overlords, our feline overlords. Anyway, I'll leave it at that. Thank you so much again for coming.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
Thank you for tuning in this week to the Voices in Recovery podcast. Please stay tuned every Wednesday as we air another episode. Thank you for your time. And please, if you're in trouble, reach out. If you need to contact us at www.freedomspathrecoverysociety.ca, or you can look for us on Facebook under Freedom's Path Recovery Society. Thank you again for tuning in. Please stay tuned for upcoming groups, activities, and podcasts.